Hello everyone, this is Rachel from sweetbeepaperco. I am here with another Pinterest inspired video. So today what we're going to make is this cute little cutout card. It kind of looks like a specimen card in a way. The one I saw on Pinterest, which I will pop up, it looks like they use actual dried flowers, which I do not have, but I have these cute flower stickers, so that's what I decided to use. Obviously, you could use anything that you wanted. I really wanted to use my embossing folders that I got on a project, so this was what I had found, and I love it. I may change the ribbon out when I make these now. I'm just not quite loving that, but we'll see. These are a little bit involved. There's several steps to them, and I will take you through each step, including how to get a template for an oval, because they're really hard to draw symmetrically. And I had the hardest time trying to decide what to do. So I will link a resource for these oval printouts. There's several different sizes for ovals on their website. I did the 3-inch and the 4-inch, and I think there's bigger and smaller, and there's also other templates on their website too. So definitely check those out if you are looking for something to print out and use that way. So that's what I used for the oval. So some things you'll need is a focal point, something you can use to put your focal point in that's clear. I used some pieces of packaging for my Etsy shop that I don't use that size too often of. You could use acetate papers, you could laminate, you could also use packaging tape, whatever else. Embossing folders, and like I said earlier, that's optional if you want to do that or not. And then some embellishments for this too. So we're looking at adding some lace. I have a button, a gourd pin or loop pin. I've heard them called several different things. I call them gourd pins. I did use my crocodile in the corner, but you don't have to. You can just punch a hole in there if you want. What I liked about this was how it had the ribbon and decoration in the corner instead of right in the middle. I thought that just looked really cute. And some kind of label if you want. This was one I stamped myself. You could use one that you already have printed out and made up. That's entirely up to you. Oh, and I used this cardstock I got from Michael's. It's really thin. This isn't really thick cardstock, and it really made this kind of feel a little bit flimsy. So I think it would be a little bit difficult kind of moving it in and out of a pocket if we put it in the pocket or whatever else. And you know, you could also do like a little flower or something on top of the lace. That might actually be really cute too. Anyway, so I'm going to make maybe 2 or 3. I want to try doing some of these smaller ovals. I have a piece of cardstock from Paper Pad. I was thinking about using pattern cardstock with the embossing folder to see how that looks. So what I did originally for this larger size for the 4-inch ovals is I cut pieces of cardstock at 4x6 because I wasn't sure what size to start with. So depending on what size oval you want, and then what will fit in your embossing folders. So the 4x6 is obviously too big for the embossing folder. As like a starting point, you could start with a 4x6 sheet of cardstock, or like for doing these small ones, I think I would probably, let's see, they're 3-inch. You could probably do 4-inch or 4.5 inches, but we'll take a look at it. But the one thing that I definitely wanted to tell you about first is make sure you trace your template onto your paper before you put it in the embossing folder and run it through, because it was such a I think it's doable to do it that way for sure, but it was kind of a pain to try to trace the oval on here. So you can see I did trace it on, but it's just kind of all over, and I think it ended up being kind of crooked. So I will probably use this side for some other project. And if you look at the Pinterest example we are going off of, you can kind of tell too that those are kind of thinner. They're not as wide. So that's up to you. I mean, you can make these kind of any size that you want. This will fit on these little cardstock scraps, and these are 3 by 6. So they'll fit on there, or even the smaller ones. It's up to you. I would kind of play around with it a little bit and kind of see what you like and what will work for your paper. I also distress the edges on that too. I think I talked about everything that you might need for this. Oh, and I also sewed around the edges, which is also optional. You can use a machine, you can hand sew, or you can not. If you are not going to sew, make sure you are gluing all the way to the edge and gluing down. If whatever you use to like mount your sticker moves, make sure you glue that down as well. So I think actually for the smaller ones, I'll probably use tape because the packaging tape is wide enough for it. So what I'm going to do first, I already have the larger oval cut out. So I'm just going to cut out, and honestly, I kind of wish I would have printed this out on cardstock because it's doable to cut them out from like printer paper, but tracing it might have been a lot easier with cardstock. Okay, so I've just got my paper trimmer out, and I'm just trying to decide on sizes for this one. So this one is about 5 1/4 high by 4 inches. And let's see how this fits in our embossing folder. Yeah, this fits in there really well. So I'm gonna go for this size for this one, and that's pretty much the same size, maybe a little bigger than that. So I'm going to do that for this one. I'm going to use plain cardstock as the background for this one so I can use the rest of this paper for something else. Okay, so I've got the front and back of this one. That one's going to be one of the bigger ones. Now let's look at this little one. So this is the piece that is 3 inches wide. I really like the 3-inch wide for that. So let's look at, so 4 inches. 4 inches would be pretty good actually. Yeah, that works out. So these are 3 by 4, and this is for the ovals that are 3 inch by 1.875 inch. And once again, this one was 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that is for the ovals that are 4 inches by 2.5 inch. So we will go with that. I'm just going to get one other set cut out. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is trace out our ovals. So I'm just going to kind of center it on the cardstock and just trace it out. What a pain. Yeah, definitely. If you can print these out on some cardstock, or I could probably glue them onto some cardstock or cardboard and cut them out. I am going to trace on the back of this, so if I go nuts with the pencil, like I just did, it's all on the inside. If you also have a different way of getting an oval cut out for your projects, then by all means do that. So I'm just going to kind of fold it and get a little bit of a cut started. And if it's comfortable for you, you can hold both layers and go ahead and cut both of your ovals out, or you can trace on both layers, or like the first one I cut one out and then traced it on the other one. Whatever is easier for you. So I am just going to get these cut out and I'll be right back. Okay, whew, that part's done. That's my least favorite part. I also wanted to tell you two things. If you don't want to do ovals, you don't have to do ovals. You can cut a rectangle frame out of these. It's whatever you want to do. This is your project. I'm doing the ovals because I really liked the look of that and I just thought it was kind of neat. You don't have to do ovals. So when you cut yours out and if they look like hot garbage, like mine do, don't worry about it. When we put them through with the embossing, that will kind of help the edges. So if you look at this one, I kind of did a terrible job cutting it out, and the embossing kind of gives it a little bit more texture, and I feel like it covers it up. I did a terrible job. Nothing has to be perfect. I just hate cutting things out. So now let's do the embossing. Okay, so for embossing, you only need to emboss the front, so only one of them. And you don't have to have one of these big shots or whatever to use an embossing folder. If you find one at, the store that you like, you can use a rolling pin over these too. I've seen people use a rolling pin. I've not tried the rolling pin method. I will at some point, just so I can say if it's easy or not, because I have no idea. Okay, so if you have the Big Shot machine, you will need the standard platform, a cutting plate, put your embossing folder on there, and then sandwich with your other cutting plate, and then run it through your machine. And that is if you are using one of these folders like these. So this is the Sizzix and Tim Holtz one. We're just going to make it work. So the way it kind of cut out this design, that one part was at the bottom and just kind of took a little chunk out. Ooh, I love that on the craft paper. That looks really good. Okay, so now let's get everybody situated, and I'm just going to cut out a piece of this packaging to use. So as long as whatever you're using, if it's not tape, will fit over your opening, you're good to go. I'm actually going to use Scotch tape to hold it down because glue will work, but it also just kind of takes a while to dry, so things kind of slide around. So I have this as kind of like a little folder for this. We'll tape it in, and then we have these two. So now is, of course, the fun part where we start to audition and see what we want in each one. Oh, I see one I want already. I love this little yellow rose, and then we'll just, if we need to, trim that stem off of there. I know there was one in here I saw earlier I really liked. Oh, that's pretty, but I don't like the bottom line thing. Oh yeah, we can just cut that off. There we go. I'm definitely using that, use that. So now it's just this one. Let's put some paper underneath so we can kind of see a little bit better. So if it's hard to see on camera, this is kind of like a peachy pink color. Okay, so I finally found one. I actually got into a different pack of stickers and picked out something a little bit bigger for that. So I like that one. So now I'm going to take my plastic. So this will just kind of depend on how you are putting in your stickers. So I just opened up a shipping bag or a storage bag so I can just fold it over. I will do one of the tape ones with you too. I'm just going to kind of get it as close to the center as I can. So I'm going to do it in front of my face so I can see it. Okay, so then I fold the top over. There's our sticker. So now I'm going to take the back, kind of center this on there, and take some small pieces of Scotch tape to tape that down. And whatever goes beyond the cardstock, I'm just going to trim off with scissors. All right. I really think that dried flowers will be so beautiful in these, so you can see them more too. I think this summer, spring and summer, I'm definitely going to be saving some flowers, I find, for some things we can make. So now I'm just taking my Bearly Arts glue, and since I'm going to sew, I'm not putting a ton of glue. I just want it to make sure it's holding it. But I am going to, let's see here. The issue I had with the other one was that it kind of gapes open. I'm just trying to line up my ovals, which aren't perfect, and that's fine. It kind of was gaping a little bit because of the embossing. So I'm just adding just a little bit of this glue on the inside, kind of where you can either do it like kind of just where you notice it gaping, or kind of like at some intervals to just kind of hold it down. If you have a little bit of thicker cardstock, you probably don't have to do this step. So now at this point, I would let this dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to go run it through my sewing machine around the edge, just trying to stick close to the edge with a straight stitch. But let's do a tape one here. So I'm just going to lay this tape down with the sticky side up. So then I'm just going to lay it on the tape. The way you do this is kind of up to you. I kind of like to lay the tape down if I'm able to, so that it's not stuck to my desk and kind of picks up a bunch of, you know, fuzzies or whatever. Okay, so I have the sticky side up, and I don't think I'm going to trim off the bottom. It'll just go through the bottom of the oval. So I'm just going to put my sticker on top of the sticky side, and I'm going to move it closer to me so I can see that it's kind of even. And I got a little fuzzy on the sticker, but that's okay. Okay, next we want to do our little sandwich and put a piece of tape on top of that. This is just if you're doing the tape. And then if you are, make sure you kind of smush down around your sticker and around the edges so it kind of gets a little bit of those bubbles out. Every once in a while, I think about getting a laminating machine, but oh, look how pretty that is. Okay, so same thing on this. I'm just going to do some glue, and I'm not sure how the little ones are going to be. And you could always wait until after you've sewn down your layers to see if you need to add that, because it's kind of curling. The embossed one is kind of curling just a little bit, so it might be fine after we sew it anyway, but I will wait to see, because honestly, because this is so small, I don't really see it kind of gaping as much anyway. So I'm going to get that one done up same way with the tape and get these sewn down, and I'll be right back. So I've got them sewn down, I've got the threads trimmed, and I just inked the edges of these two. And if you look at that Pinterest pin, it kind of looks like almost an ombre effect of the ink coming in on those, and it looks amazing, doesn't it? And I really like that. So I kind of experimented a little bit, and if you already know how to do this, you can skip over this part. This may not even be the right way how to do this. This is just what I did today. So normally I just ink the edges like this. Go on the edge really light, and see how I'm just kind of getting the edges there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just like how I normally would for something. Okay, so you notice kind of too when I did that, I'm kind of holding it at an angle, like, let me see if I can get it right, kind of like this. So to kind of get that ink on here a little more, what you want to do, so because we're kind of a little bit flatter when we do it this way, just kind of turn your dauber in just a little bit. And make sure you don't have a ton of ink on there, and then just kind of start going back and forth really light. You see now I've got a little bit more ink in there. It's not super dark. It kind of looks like that little bit of a fading effect or ombre or however you want to call it on there. See the difference? This is the side I just did. This is one I'll do right now. I'm just turning my dauber in a little bit and lightly going back and forth. I'll just finish up the other sides. And I found too, doing it laying down or having it down on the table works good too, because since you're actually going a little bit flatter with your dauber. And do little bits at a time and build up to whatever you want. If you want a little bit darker or wet. I love how that looks. Gorgeous. Okay, next. We need to decide, and I'm kind of leaving this white paper here so you can kind of see a little bit better, like with the flowers and stuff. And I like to look at it too. So next we're going to do our embellishment. And this is entirely up to you. I'm going to kind of do what I did on here, some kind of label, lace in the bottom right, lace in the top left. And I think on the smaller ones, I'm just going to do, actually, I don't know yet. I was thinking about just doing a whole, but I still may do an eyelet. Not sure. So I'm going to pause it and try to decide, because when I try to decide when I'm recording, it takes me way too long. Okay, I've got my lace all cut, my labels all picked out. Go ahead and ink anything that you need to for this part, and I will glue one with you. I'm just using this 3-in-1. I don't think this is the actual fabric tack one because it doesn't say that, but I'm going to use the fabric tack or this glue on the lace as well as the label because of the paper being embossed. I want that to make sure that that sticks down really well. And that first one, I put way too much glue on it, so definitely don't want to do that. And you have to think about, too, if you are putting this in and out of a pocket, the lace may be getting caught. I'm not sure if these are going to go in pockets yet, or maybe glued onto a page so we can see the flowers like that. I'm not sure. I kind of like that going over the cutout a little bit. So then let's glue the top lace. Lace is from a remnant bag. All right, and let's go ahead and get our hole done. So I just put my, what are we going to call this, flower sandwich in diagonally in my crocodile, not too far in. Oh, that's the small side. Oops, I should have seen that. So from the corner, that's almost 1/2 inch in. And what color eyelet do we want? Let's go with this copper color. Oh, that looks pretty. Love that. You could also just put like the gourd pin in there with a little bit of maybe like lace hanging off, or just the button. Oh, I like the pink for that one. I'll pick the other ones out here in a minute. Let's just try with that. So I have some seam binding. I could use lace, ribbon, yarn. You could use whatever you wanted for up here or nothing. Oh, that is adorable. I think I will use something. I have this Sari silk. It was so thick trying to use it earlier. I think that's why I went with that ribbon. That looks okay. Yeah, the Sari silk. I ripped it in half. I'll just rip it some more. So you could also do, which is what I think they did in that Pinterest pin, is do the pin off of the ribbon or lace or whatever you use. I really think it's just up to you wherever you'd like to put it. If doing it on the ribbon like that definitely lets it hang down a little more. And then I'm definitely going to add some more glue or some glue to the Sari silk to kind of keep it in place. I don't like doing a ribbon or something on something and then it just comes loose all the time. That is so pretty, isn't it? I love how that looks. Turned out so cute. So I'm going to get these other two made and then I will bring you back when they're all done. Okay, so the first one I made, I redid the ribbon. I took the black ribbon off and did like, I think it's sage seam binding. This is from My Scrap Cabin on Etsy. I love how it looks. So if you go to do your overhand loop and you want the legs in the front, start by putting your loop in through the back and it will give you those legs in the front and you can kind of spread that between the corners. And then I tried to see what it looked like with the gourd pin on one of the legs and it looks really cute. So there's what it looks like there. I love it, of course. You saw me finish this one. I didn't change anything on it. I left the sari silk on there. I love it. It's so pretty. I'm trying to figure out how I want to use it because that one is definitely going in this journal because that's some of the paper I used here. So what if we... Oh, isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to figure out how I want to do that. If I just want to glue it down to this page. So here is the craft paper one. I used really light pink and a white button. It's so cute. I really wasn't sure how I would feel about this embossing folder. But on the craft paper, it looks amazing. Actually, on both of them, it really looks amazing. I love it. So on this one, I put the pink button. I was thinking about putting the pink button on this one with the pink seam binding, but I think it looks okay. It's pretty cute. But if you end up making these from my video, please let me know. Leave me a comment, tag me on Instagram. You can send me a message on Instagram with a picture or whatever. I would love to see them. But I hope this video was helpful. I have my Pinterest link below. If you want, check it out, look through them. If you see something in there that you want us to make, let me know. I like kind of going off of pictures and not videos so we can kind of figure out how to make it on our own and do like our own little style to it. Hope you like the video. These are so pretty. They're a little time consuming because there's so many steps to them, but they end up just looking absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, if you liked the video, hit the like button, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.